Hello, this is Kim Ki-hyun from Richgo. Today I will talk about the fresh weekly real estate trend data released by KB Real Estate. So, today is October 29th, but when was this data released? The data came out on October 25th. When was this data compiled? This data is from the third week of October, so it includes data from around the 14th to the 19th. So, to be precise, we are filming in the last week of October, and the video will probably be uploaded in a day or two. Nevertheless, this market situation reflects data from 2 weeks ago, so it is the market situation data from mid-October. You can view it this way. So, no matter how much real transaction prices are compiled daily these days, the market situation cannot be assessed just based on the last week of October. So, I will be discussing the market situation from mid-October. You can view it this way. The current market is continuing to shrink as expected. First, this is the supply and demand trend by region from KB Real Estate, compiled last week from mid-October. So, the x-axis represents the transaction supply and demand, and the y-axis represents the rental supply and demand. This data shows how the balance of power between sellers and buyers is changing, indicating whether there is more selling pressure or buying pressure. Next, the rental supply and demand trend is on the y-axis. If it goes down, it means the rental market is worsening. And if it goes up, it means the rental market is improving. You can interpret it this way. So, those who are seeing this for the first time might be a bit confused, but this data can convey the market situation more quickly than any other data. That's why I discuss the weekly trend data like this every week. If you look at Seoul, the blue color indicates a high number of sellers. So, as this goes up, the number of sellers increases. Next, the red color indicates a high number of buyers. And as it goes down, it means there are fewer buyers. So, by combining these two values, this bar graph created. It gets combined. So if this bar graph continues to go down, we can tell whether the market struggle is leaning towards sellers or buyers. And right now, it is continuously falling like this, isn't it? The fact that it is falling means that there are more people wanting to sell, but no one wanting to buy. So this bar graph is indicating that it is going down like this. Therefore, this means the market is cooling down again. So, if you look at the peak, it reached its high in July and August, and the market situation has been getting worse week by week since then. However, as I mentioned in a video I posted not long ago, the fastest data released based on actual transaction prices is from Richgo. Looking at this, the sale prices have only dropped in some areas. In September and October, only some areas have seen a drop, while the majority of areas are still rising. The problem lies with the rental prices. The rental prices have all been affected. However, if you look at the rental supply and demand, you can see some noticeable changes. This graph represents the rental supply and demand, where the blue indicates supply and the red indicates demand. But how is it now? The blue line is hitting the bottom and is trying to rise little by little. What does that mean? The supply in the metropolitan area is trying to rise. As I mentioned earlier, there are several reasons why the real estate market showed a relatively good trend in the first half of 2024 and in the third quarter of July, August, and September. But one of the most important factors is that the number of move-in units was the smallest for 3 consecutive quarters. Since the number of move-ins is small, new rental prices naturally have to decrease. So what happened? As you can see, the blue line representing rental supply has continued to decline. Right. As demand increased, the rental supply continued to be good, but looking at this bar graph, it has been gradually decreasing recently, and it dropped significantly in mid-October. Right. What this means is, what is it now? Demand, you see the red, is gradually decreasing while supply is trying to increase. However, starting from the fourth quarter, there will be a significant increase in supply in Seoul, especially in November. If that happens, the blue line will go up and the red line is likely to decrease further. So what will happen then? the rental supply could decrease further. Therefore, if the rental supply decreases, rental prices will naturally fall as well. So, rental prices in Seoul began to decline in September and October, and it seems likely that this trend will continue for a while. As you can see, Seoul is currently trending in a rather negative direction. Let's look at Incheon as well. Incheon is a bit lower. It had been declining, but slightly increased a bit 2 months ago. So it went up a little like this. The implementation of the stress DSR second phase in September was the biggest reason for this turning point. As I mentioned, impact of the stress DSR is likely to have less effect on mid to low priced housing. As a result, the supply in Incheon still seems somewhat okay, but the rental supply is trying to decrease. So, the rental supply in Incheon is worsening, while the sales supply is showing a slight short-term rebound. I believe the real estate market will be very risky in 2025, and as I mentioned, 2025 will be similar to 2022, and there is a high possibility it will resemble 2008. What does that mean? It is unlikely that a significant decline will occur until the first half of the year. The real estate market is like an aircraft carrier. When it improves, it gradually heats up, and when it declines, it often cools down gradually. So, the market has already entered a turning point, but the embers are still scattered and remain here and there. So, it is likely that some areas will show an increase until around the first half of next year, but in the second half of next year, the stress DSR third phase will be implemented. So, a quite dangerous situation could unfold in the second half of next year. You can see that the sales supply in Gyeonggi province is also continuously declining. While the number of sellers continues to rise, the number of buyers keeps decreasing, and the rental supply in Gyeonggi province is also declining. So, what is the common phenomenon occurring throughout the metropolitan area? First of all, it is visibly confirmed that the rental market is already deteriorating compared to the sales market. Additionally, the sales market is gradually losing energy. Next, in the case of Jeju Island, there is a lot of fluctuation, and Jeju has significantly declined to the lower left. Both the sales supply and the rental supply have significantly worsened. This situation you should understand. Daegu and Sejong are still not doing well. You can see that the regions with the worst trends in the country are Sejong and Daegu. In the case of Daegu, the sales supply is declining, but fortunately, the rental supply is still increasing. However, it is still only at 83. Therefore, I believe that the rental supply in Daegu will likely reach around 120 or 130 sometime next year. If that happens, the rental prices in Daegu will rise, and since Daegu is one of the regions where sales prices have dropped significantly, the improvement in rental supply could positively impact the sales supply and show a positive trend in sales prices. Next, Busan is still not doing well. There is almost nothing available in Busan right now. There's no change. The good news is that the rental demand is gradually improving, so the improvement in rental demand is a somewhat positive aspect, but the buying and selling market is still somewhat frozen. You can see it this way. In the case of Sejong, the rental demand has increased. However, it is not a red flag yet. So it seems that there is not enough strength for rental prices to rise at this point. Next, the buying and selling demand improved a bit, but after peaking in early September, it is falling again. So, in the case of Sejong, the buying and selling market is freezing up again, while the rental market is gradually gaining some strength. However, it still lacks the energy to rise, making Sejong and Daegu the areas with the weakest energy nationwide. Next, in the case of Daejeon, the rental demand is gradually improving, but the buying and selling demand is deteriorating significantly. So, the buying and selling market in Daejeon is also quite frozen. You can see it this way. And now, let me briefly mention our advertisement. We are also running promotional ads for sales on the Richgo app, and I would like to share the areas we want to promote based on data in connection with RichgoTV. That's what I think. I believe one of the roles of experts is similar to that of the government. If things get too heated, it is necessary to cool them down. And if they are undervalued, Like the government's roll, they can now hit the bottom and rise. I believe this role is also one of the important responsibilities that real estate experts should fulfill. At Richgo, since we operate based on data, we have the ability to be more objective than anyone else in that regard. So, if anyone is interested, it would be good to contact us at richgo2024@gmail.com. Also, if there are any real estate related companies or individuals who would like to advertise on our side or here, please reach out. And we will also try to run ads on Richgo's YouTube. Continuing on. In the case of Cheongnam, it has gone to the right. The buying and selling demand on the right dropped a bit and then rose again, but it is still somewhat weak. One of the areas I view positively in Cheongnam is that, as you can see, the rental demand is steadily improving. It is still weak. So, for Cheongnam to gain proper strength, the rental demand needs to rise more than it is now, probably reaching around 130, 140 or 150 to receive energy. In the case of Gyeongbuk, the demand has dropped like this. Let's set aside the rental demand. Yeongnam is also stable right now, and the rental demand is quite solid and not bad. Next, in the case of Gwangju in Jeollado, you can see that the rental demand has increased quite a bit recently. The buying and selling market still shows no changes, but the rental market is relatively energetic. The rental demand in Jeonnam is gradually increasing, and while the buying and selling market has not changed yet, if the rental market continues to build energy like this, I believe it will eventually invigorate the buying and selling market. There are also some areas in Jeonnam that I see as quite promising. Please take note of that. Let's look at Cheongbuk. In Cheongbuk, the rental demand has risen and dropped, and there is little change in the buying and selling market. In Gangwon-do, there is little change. In the case of Jeonbuk, it has gone up, and it is one of the areas with very solid rental demand. The buying and selling market isn't that bad either. However, it seems to be showing a slight downward trend as there are some warning signs. And now, in the case of Ulsan, which I have always spoken positively about, it was heating up. But recently, the buying and selling demand has been continuously cooling down. However, above all, the rental demand is the highest in the country. What's the story? Take a good look at this. The reason this is important is that you see this blue line, right? This blue line represents the rental supply in Ulsan. But supply, why? Because the supply will continue to decrease. Decrease until 2025, 2027. What about the red resting line? It keeps changing, going up, right? As a result, it is continuously improving now. Therefore, since the rental market is strong and stabilized, it is natural that the sales market is also likely to improve. So, everyone, I am providing a very detailed explanation today, and this will be an incredible learning experience for you. If you study well, a really good time to buy your own home will probably come around next year. Kim Ki-won will likely start advocating a very active bullish outlook. At that point, also, starting early next year, I plan to conduct various lectures. So, in fact, I was planning to focus more on YouTube and spend a lot of time on it. But next year, while managing YouTube, I will also conduct lectures to help many people with home buying and using Richgo and auctions for home purchasing. I am preparing many lectures for this, so please take a lot of interest. It seems that it will start around February next year. Now let's take a look at the supply and demand, focusing briefly on Gangnam and Gangbuk. Here you can see Gangnam and Gangbuk, but which one is dropping more? Gangnam is dropping more. This means that the rental supply in Gangnam is worse than in Gangbuk. In other words, the rental market in Gangnam is actually worse than in Gangbuk, and both are declining. Next, the sales market in Gangnam is also not in a good situation right now. And in Gangbuk, the rental market is declining, and the sales market continues to be frozen. So, both Gangnam and Gangbuk are not in a good market situation right now. However, the sales market in Gangnam is slightly better than in Gangbuk, but the problem is that the rental market is not good. Additionally, there is a lot of supply in the Gangnam area. For reference, it is said there is no move-in supply in Seoul. Here, if you enter the PC screen of our Richgo app, you will find a section called Regional Analysis. So, if you click on the atmosphere, here in the Regional Analysis, you can see the year like this. So, this gray color represents apartments that are over 20 years old. Next, this represents apartments that are 10 to 20 years old. The blue color represents 5 to 10 years, and the red color represents newly built apartments under 5 years. The size of the circle indicates the number of units. So, you can tell which apartments are older and all of that. And here in the subscription section, you can see ongoing subscriptions, upcoming subscriptions, and completed subscriptions. I have clicked on all of these, so you can know where there are many old apartments and when new apartments are being supplied. If you look here, how about just looking at Bangbae-dong and this area of Bampo? Looking at the planned subscriptions for December, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, just this much, shows a total of 11. Right now, there are so many subscriptions planned just for November and December. There are actually a lot more subscriptions planned after that as well. There are a lot. The supply is actually not as small as you might think. On the contrary, Gangdong-gu had a lot of midterm sales, but it's almost finished now. If you look here, there are many completed subscriptions, right? There are many completed subscriptions, but there are only 1, 2, then 3, 4 planned subscriptions. In Gangdong, on the contrary. So, does that mean there are none over here, right? Gangdong actually has none. Now, if you look over here, in the Noryangjin area, the Isu Station area, and the Bampo area, there are many individual sales happening. So, if the supply increases, it will naturally have a negative impact on the supply and demand. Therefore, I think it would be good to keep these points in mind. So, that's it for today's content. I will come back with more good information next time. At Richgo, we will always provide objective and prompt real estate information based on data. Thank you for always being with us. Thank you.